accept the proclamation.
Come on.
So please do introduce them as they go by.
Here we have Kerry Williams, Tri-Towns EMS, Donna Struntz, Bowling Green, Jonathan Dayton, Jim Coon, Justin Bean, Merkel, Ryan Foster, Fisher, Megan Mike, and Dancy.
Scoot in there, we're all gonna have to get in here.
Everyone needs to stand by the side and face to the center, please. Face to the center.
Yeah, you sit on the
Side.
I'm really not even driving for pictures. I always say, don't matter whether I stand sideways or straight, it's just as wide as one as the other.
That way.
That way.
Down.
Yeah, I'll just do the moonwalk.
You need to be very tight, excuse me, it's a very large crowd.
Why don't you guys hold
Oh, look at that. Two greater people.
I know, yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Thank you.
Gentlemen, item number 2 is a fiscal 2018 budget hearing. This is our third budget hearing. Mr. Bennett.
Good evening.
Evening.
Tonight represents our third and final public budget hearing on our proposed budget, an almost $86.9 million budget that's 0.7% higher than last year's. So tonight's really simply a hearing, no presentation. Last chance for either your comment or public comment, and then as long as all goes according to plan, we'll adopt the budget on June 1 and proceed from there.
All right.
So I'll leave it to you guys.
This is a public comment. If you're signed up, would you like to speak on the budget or wait till the end? Wait till the end. Mr. Wilmot, on the budget or wait till the end?
You want to speak now, Mr. Wilmot, on the budget or at the end?
I'll speak at the end.
Oh,
Speak at the end. Okay. Is there any other comments?
Yeah, it's balanced, right, sir?
We're balanced, $86,897,607. So balanced budget, a little less than $1 million of fund balance used in the budget.
No
Tenth of a
tax
penny
increases
reduction.
with a tax reduction.
Tax reduction, no other increases. So yes, we were balanced.
My only question.
Conservatism.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jason. All right, moving to our action agenda, item number 3 is our Residential Development Incentive Program. Mr. Everly.
Commissioners, as we've discussed publicly in the past, 75% of the housing stock in Allegheny County was constructed before 1970. Needless to say, the county's existing housing stock needs a shot in the arm. The reason being that when companies are prospecting our community to either locate or to expand here, the quality of our housing stock is an issue that they evaluate. Our hope, Commissioner, is that Code Home Rule Bill 4-17, which is titled the Residential Development Incentive Program, will provide the impetus that we need to encourage new residential development throughout Allegheny County. As we mentioned during our Public Works section last month, similar to legislation that was adopted back in 2005, that program actually sunsetted in 2008. The bill before you this evening is modeled after that legislation with some very significant enhancements, and I'll enumerate those here momentarily. Under the proposed legislation, if a project is approved by the county, 75% of the real estate taxes paid above the previous assessment would be deposited into a segregated account over a 10-year period of time. By agreement, the funds are then made available to reimburse eligible costs associated with the development of the infrastructure for that for the project. Funds are segregated, are slightly higher on the aggregate than the program that we had in place 12 years ago. On the aggregate, last time around, the set aside was actually 65%. This time around, it's 75% across the board. The effective start date of this program could be extended by formal agreement for a period of not to exceed 5 years. As requested, if 4-17 is adopted, it would establish an application period of 10 years, unlike the previous legislation, which sunsetted after 3 years. And the county would have the flexibility to freeze assessments on unsold properties for a period of time. And as drafted herein, there would be a minimum of 10 building lots to make a satisfactory application by the county. Commissioners, as drafted, the legislation does not obligate the county to provide any financial guarantees whatsoever beyond what's presented in the development agreement. Available funds are only derived from taxes, again, that are actually paid on the increased assessed values of the property once the lots are sold. The success of the program for each development is actually predicated on the developer's success in selling properties that are then developed. Commissioners, this is a legislative date. You can take formal action tonight to introduce, and we could establish June the 1st as our hearing date for this bill.
Great. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Dave, just as kind of a quick follow-up to
Yep.
that, through the late 90s, mid-2000, how many building permits do we average a year in Allegheny County?
Probably in the 60 to 80 range,
And right now, we're doing,
less than 20.
so this is a much-needed thing then.
I think so.
Big shot in the arm.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4 is a Westernport floodplain management resolution. Mr. Rudd.
Yes, the county has a floodplain management ordinance. It applies to the unincorporated areas of the county. However, a municipality can vote by resolution to allow the county to enforce that within their boundaries. Westernport, in fact, did that. On May 1st, 2017, they passed a resolution. They're asking us to pass a joint resolution, essentially with them, to allow the county to enforce that ordinance within the boundaries of Westernport.
Any discussion?
No.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Rudd.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is a CDBG application for Bowling Green Community Enhancement. Mr. Nedved.
Commissioners, on May 31st of this year, the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development will accept applications for community development block grants from eligible jurisdictions throughout the state. Allegheny County intends to submit an application for $800,000 to assist with the Bowling Green Community Enhancement Project. As part of the CDBG application process, a resolution must be authorized allowing the submission of the application. The resolution authorizing the signing and submission of the application is on the action agenda, but the resolution also authorizes, if the funds are awarded, the signing of the CDB grant agreement itself. So I'm before you, Commissioners, asking you to authorize, sign a resolution to allow me to make the application to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development.
Great. Any discussion?
No.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
And number 6, ARC priorities. Mr. Nedved.
On May 4th, I presented the proposed list of ranking the ARC projects for federal fiscal year 18. That list, that priority list stayed the same except for one change. We did move the museum from 7th to 4th in the ranking. Otherwise, the ranking stayed the same. At this time, I'm asking you, I need to submit, with your approval, the priority list to Tri-County Council, and they'll take the priority list, combine it with the priority list for Garrett County and Washington County, and come up with an overall priority list for ARC projects that they will submit to the state liaison for ARC for federal funds.
Great. Any discussion?
No.
Is there a motion?
Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce Dr. Bambera and Mr. David Jones being here, since ACM does have 2 projects on this list. Very good scoring projects, very
Yes.
much needed projects.
Great.
Is that a motion, sir?
So I'll make a motion that we accept the list.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Mr. Niven. Item number 6A, Mr. Eberly.
Commissioners, as we discussed in our public work session today, we have a motion before you, numbered item 6A, which deals with the absorption of the Allegheny County EMS program with the Frostburg Area Ambulance Program.
Very good, sir.
Great. And has already been read into the record?
It has been read into the record.
Great.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we accept item 6A.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. DeVore, for all your work on that one, and all the work that you're going to be doing on that one as well. All right, moving to our consent agenda, Mr. Eberly.
Commissioners, tonight we have 3 items on your consent agenda. The first item is the appointment and reappointment of positions to the Social Services Board for Allegheny County. Item 8 is the an approval to allow the LaVale Sanitary District to appoint Turnbull, Hoover, and Kale to complete their audit for fiscal year 2017. And the item number 9, which is the a $1,000 appropriation from the Community Promotions Account to support Thomas Cumberland Tri-State Wing Off, which is scheduled for June the 17th. Correct. Commissioners, if I could get a motion in a second, I'd like to invite somebody who I believe might be here today from the Wing Off just to talk for a few moments about that, if you don't mind.
Please.
If we could, sir, could we break item 8 out separate from the consent agenda?
No, we can do that.
So,
Well, Commissioners, let's just take them individually then. Item number 7, appointments to the Social Services Board.
Is there a motion?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Item number 8,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
must abstain.
Abstain, yes.
And item number 9, if we can first get a motion.
So
Make
moved.
a motion and like to mention that the sheriff and I will both be bobbing for wings again.
Again?
And I invite my fellow commissioners
Oh, man.
to stick their face down in that slimy mess to chase swings to help fund the sheriff's opioid program.
I'd volunteer to eat them, but I don't know about bobbing for them. So.
So we have a motion and a second.
It is.
All in
Made the motion
favor?
and second.
Aye.
Come up here a second. Let somebody talk about this for just a moment.
So are you bobbing for wings?
And Mr. Rudd is taking my spot.
Oh, he's our designated wing bobber.
My sons.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Brandy Lynch. Over the last several years, I have had the honor of not only serving on the board of the Western Maryland JCs, but also on the planning committee for the Tri-State Wing Off. What started as a couple of local wing vendors, a couple of local vans, and maybe 100 attendees has grown tremendously over the years. Our event now includes several local wing vendors, live musicians from across the nation, arts and crafts exhibitors, as well as specialty food vendors. We also have an annual wing eating contest, which Commissioner Valentine so gratefully participated in last year, and we would love to have the rest of you to join them this year. This year marks our 7th annual Tri-State Wing Off. It's scheduled to be held on June the 17th, and it's truly amazing how much it's grown. We have already reached record sales. Our pre-event ticket sales have already exceeded 1,600 tickets for this year's event. We are expecting record numbers in attendance, and the Wing Off has become a tradition for many people in Allegheny County and surrounding areas, but what a lot of folks don't know is that we are attracting guests and attendees from across our country. We have 22 states that have purchased tickets this year. Those states include California and Arizona and several others. I continue to be baffled at the success this brings every year. As a result, all local hotels are nearing capacity for that weekend, and we have managed to reach this broad of an audience through our efforts in social media such as Facebook. They've allowed us to target our audience to those who follow our bands, our bands that are performing that we attract throughout the nation. They have a huge following. Their followers come from all over, and we kind of intentionally scout out those bands to bring them here to Cumberland to kind of drive people. This year, we will be hosting Iron Horse, the Davison Brothers, Old 97s, Turnpike Troubadours, and the Cordovas. Due to the growth of the Wing Off, we've relocated this year to the Shrine Club. This has led to a great partnership with Friends Aware and their Ox Roast, which is actually held the day prior to our event at the same venue. So we've done a lot of partnering, cross-promotion activities with them. We're kind of utilizing and sharing resources, sharing expenses on some things, so it's kind of helped both organizations out. The change in facility gives us a larger grounds, and it's allowing us to now provide more family-friendly activities. This year we're introducing a kids zone. And we think that this attraction is going to bring more families out, and at no charge for child's admission. We think it's going to provide a fun-filled day, affordable for an entire family. As a result of our fundraising efforts through the Wing Off, the Jaycees have been able to donate tens of thousands of dollars over the last several years to local nonprofits and other charities. This year we have 9 organizations designated to benefit from this event. And then any additional funds will also go towards our annual JC initiatives that we do continuously throughout the year, whether it be children's shopping tour, donations to other nonprofits, and so on. So on behalf of the Tri-State Wing Off Planning Committee and the JCs, I would like to thank you for your generosity. It's support like yours and many others that has allowed this event to become what it is today. And I would personally like to invite you to come and attend, even if you don't want to participate in the wing eating contest.
Oh, they're going to buy.
Okay, and I will make sure that everybody has tickets. But we're looking forward to
So
a
much
great
easier
year.
using your fingers, though.
We're looking forward to a great year, and I really hope you guys can attend. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I can almost sure I'm not bobbing for wings.
See,
Negative.
I don't even like chicken wings,
Oh, I love it.
but I attend. You know, there's other stuff there for you to eat if you don't
How
like
could you
chicken
not
wings.
like chicken wings?
I don't know.
Un-American.
Something. Mr. Eberly.
Commissioners, nothing at this moment.
All right.
May have something later on.
Mr. Rudd.
Yeah, I'm going to just make
Oh,
a
boy.
few personal comments about Bob Hutchison. Served with him for a number of years. Actually, I first got to know Bob Hutchison as a 7th grader at Allegany High School. I was the last class to go all 6 years. He was our vice principal, became principal after Ardell Haynes retired. He was our principal at graduation. Of course, I got to know him when he came here upon the death of Walt Bosley. Bob was a gentleman. It was a pleasure to serve with Bob. He got along with all of us. He was a calming influence at sometimes with some of the other players, and he's going to be missed, and he did a great service to this community. So.
Thank you, Mr. Rudd.
Commissioners, if I can just add to that, think about the importance, particularly with the timing where the county was able to sell its nursing home to an entity that was able to retain jobs. Bob Hutchison's fingerprints were all over that project. The location of the FEMA distribution center here in Allegany County would not have happened unless Commissioner Hutchison took a phone call on a day off. He was pumping gas at the Sheetses here in Cumberland. I think about Mountain Ridge High School and our success in partnering with LaVale Zoning and bringing that under the county fold. Much of that would not have happened without Bob's leadership.
Thank you. Commissioner Valentine.
I'd also like to say a few words about Commissioner Hutchison. I consider him a friend. He was a very honorable man. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, he was principal at numerous schools here in Allegany County. He served 10 years as county commissioner, and I was honored to be at a MACO meeting in 2011 when Bob won what is known as the Preissner Award. It's a very prestigious statewide award, and it's given to people that they feel that have given all that they can for their locality. And Bob truly was such a man. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brody.
Very good. Well, you know, I just go ahead and say my little tidbit about Commissioner Hutchison, because I actually got his office. And after December of 2010 or November of that year, we got elected. I actually got to come in one night, and Jenny Schry actually called me that day and said, Creed, you can come down and look at your office and this and that. And Bob was in there that evening, and he said, Creed, come on in here and sit down and just shut the door. And I just give you a rough synopsis of what the job was like. And I was in there for about 2 hours with him that night. And he most certainly laid it all out there. And one thing that he did tell me, he said, just remember starting this job, everyone that did like you will no longer like you. And he was very true on that. And it's definitely not what it seems, because if you get two neighbors in a squabble, you're thinking it'd be the worst day of your life, which he was dead on about that. And he said, you'll never make everyone happy, but if you can keep 51% of them happy, you'll do fine, and always vote the way that you feel. So I'm always ever indebted for his words of wisdom, and he was always very good to us. Anytime there was a question or this or that, he never tried to push his agenda on us, but was there to help if we needed some advice or guidance on something that was done prior to our administration. So he will be sadly missed. And with that, sir, if anyone was at our work session today, we discussed one of our favorite subjects about a bridge that's been ongoing for 15 years. So we just will talk about this publicly tonight, because our staff asked to have just a little bit more time, and I'm here to say that the time will end tomorrow just as quick as I can get a hold of our delegation, our state senator, till we get the Secretary of Transportation from Maryland State Highway up here to look at a bridge that's been ongoing since 2004 that possibly could be still in the phasing and design work for another 3 years before this thing gets built. Now, I don't even know where you could even say government in motion there except government in backwards motion.
3 boards of commissioners.
Yeah, 3 board, you and I talked
Come and
about
go on.
Yes, and nothing. And it is absolutely pathetic. So, gentlemen, with your permission, I'm going to push ahead just as quick as I can.
It's my neighborhood, go for it.
Absolutely. Well, you and I made a promise to them people 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, sir, just so you know, when I make the right ones mad, they're going to come after you. So just a forewarning.
And Jake, we will not disturb your family of water snakes.
Oh, the water snakes, yeah. I'm not getting within 500 yards of that thing. Moving on, I am really proud of the residential development that we're going to see. It took a lot of staff time, and I know that's going to yield results down the road. You know, people like to talk about giving away to developers, but the developers have to spend a lot of money up front. They got to put in a tremendous investment, and we've been able to create something that the county's getting the same amount of tax revenue. The only risk for the county is our tax revenues goes up and there's new houses being built in our community. So I'm proud on that one. And the other part of our budget, we were able to balance it using a little bit of fund balance. Not all counties and municipalities have been able to do that. I just saw it in the paper today. Baltimore City is spending $10 million to re-implement speed cameras.
Yes.
$10 million just to get their program restarted. And they think it's going to bring in $6 million a year. So they're not even going to see those benefits up front. So, Mr. Rudd, I would like for you to explore a way that the county would maybe put a ban on speed cameras on county right-of-ways, on county roads, just so maybe a future set of commissioners doesn't come in here at the last minute and say, let's fill the budget hole by bringing in speed cameras. And that could be a code bill, and it would require them to repeal that first. Sure. Okay.
I thought it was interesting, too. It was just announced today, Talbot County, their voters voted in a tax cap, property tax cap several years ago. Their commissioners just had to vote to override that tax cap. They need the money for education, and so they increased their taxes by something like $1.9 million by raising this tax cap.
And it is. It's a credit to our finance department and what we've been able to do here by keeping the budget balanced and very, very minimal increases in spending, and that's something I know we're all proud of. So with that, we move to our constituent comments. First up, Mr. Ed Taylor.
Gentlemen, for the record, my name is Edward Taylor. Address is 400 South Allegany Street, Cumberland, Maryland. I have 2 issues I wanted to bring to the forefront tonight, but before I get into that, I wanted to take this opportunity as an Allegany County taxpayer, and have been for some time, to thank you for balancing our Allegany County budget and to all your staff members who have taken part in that. in these horrendous economic times which we are going through, that is very, very important to the local people of Allegany County. I just wish the mayor and council of the city of Cumberland would do the same. The issue with the city of Cumberland, sooner or later, it's going to overflow and affect you folks. As a city taxpayer also, we are looking at one of the highest tax increases in the Cumberland, in the city's history. Unbelievable, almost 10%, unheard of. We'll discuss that another day. The issues I wanted to bring forth, I wanted to come here earlier, but I work out of town and I'm not always able to get here. I wanted to thank Mr. Creed Brody for his comments he made, I guess it was maybe over a month or so ago, about this horrendous fracking ban that Governor Hogan has done to our community. I am a conservative Republican, and I will never vote for Larry Hogan. Never. That man came out in 4 separate press conferences against our most honorable President Trump, who I voted for, and the majority of Allegany County voters voted for. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 separate press conferences against Donald Trump when he was running, including on Election Day. Unforgivable as a Republican governor. But what he did to Allegany County, and I love your comment, Mr. Brody, on the carpetbaggers, because I use the same term. These folks are retired state workers and retired federal workers that have come up here and retired, and that's fine. That's their right to do so. But they come from a leftist political agenda and I call wacko environmentalist agenda, and have shoved this down our throats. They're already collecting their huge government retirement checks. Many of us don't work for government, and we depend on the private sector. By this fracking ban being instituted, it will not only affect the people that could have been heavily employed through fracking and the businesses that feed off that, our current businesses would also feed off that. They've also lost that business. This is a real death knell, not just Allegany County, but our friends to the west of us in Garrett County. And this also makes Maryland very unfriendly to business. I have an email sent to me from a friend of mine who emailed the governor's office about this and showed his displeasure. And I was amazed to see where the governor said he was proud of his vote on the fracking ban. And I want all of the voters of Allegany County to remember that next year when Larry Hogan's up here running for re-election. Moving on to the second issue. There was a motion made here, I guess a little over a month ago or so, by you, Mr. Shade, correct me if I'm wrong in any portion of my statement, to give the Cumberland Theater an additional $7,500. Now, I believe that's on top of what you already gave them through the hotel motel tax. So they've been given money twice this year. What concerns me about the whole issue is that you serve on the board of the Cumberland Theater, and you're also on the board of the Allegany County Commissioners, an elected position. And I find it very unethical for you to make a motion to put that forth for them to get even more money when you serve on the board. So essentially, you made a motion to vote your own organization more money from the county coffer. And I understand you may have voted for it, Mr. Brody. I assume you probably didn't realize he was on that board. But I'm very concerned over that. My opinion as a county taxpayer, if that money has not been sent, it should be stopped. That vote should be turned around. If the money has already been sent, the Cumberland Theater should send it back to the county, because we shouldn't be serving on boards of nonprofit organizations that later we come in here as elected officials and vote those particular organizations money from the public coffers. It's a real issue.
Well, I would just say, you know, the Cumberland Theater's been receiving money since before I was born, Mr. Taylor.
Unfortunately, that's true.
So it's not like this started with me. They've been an organization receiving county funds for decades. And I serve on boards, Commissioner Brody serves on boards, Commissioner Valentine serves on boards.
Okay, but I've never seen Mr. Brody or Mr. Valentine vote to give an organization money that they serve on the board of. And they certainly didn't make a motion to do that. To my knowledge, that's never been done, or any other commissioner to my memory. Whether they've been receiving money forever, which, yeah, we know that, and that's another issue for another day. The fact is, we're talking about now. We're talking about 2017. And we're talking about the issue that you made a motion during a public meeting to give an organization an additional amount of money, $7,500, if my figures are correct.
I think $7,000.
Okay. In addition to what they already got. And yes, I understand they may have a roof problem. I run an organization. We have over $500,000 worth of monuments just in Allegheny County alone. They're historical monuments that need to be repaired. But I'm dealing with that. They need to deal with their roof problems. Every organization has a multitude of problems. I'm not condemning the Cumberland Theater. I've attended many of their performances. I hope to God they can continue on. However, the issue right now is that you, as our county commissioner president, you voted and you made a motion to give an organization that you are on their board money. And let me add again, more money. And that is wrong. That is wrong. And I feel that that vote should be reversed. And, they've already been given money once. Whether they have a problem or not, they have another fundraiser. We have fundraisers when we have problems. And I'm not the only one on this issue. A lot of people have spoke about this. And I was on WCBC about a month ago when this happened. I called in from out of town. Mr. Idlod, who's the morning host, he was very concerned about it also. And I believe you were out of the country at the time because I think, Mr. Idlod, they made an attempt to get a hold of you. But you want to check with Mr. Gallants about that. He's your WCBC representative here. But I'm talking as a taxpayer. I think that vote should be reversed.
Mr. Taylor, let me ask you this. Is Commissioner Brody allowed to vote on matters concerning the airport authority?
He's not voting to give a nonprofit entity money. I'm talking about what you did. Don't try to push this off on another commissioner.
We all serve on nonprofit boards. All of us, whether it's HRDC, whether it's the theater, whether it's the health board, whether it's Tri-County Council. All of these are entities that are not county related. So if you don't want us to serve on any of that, that's your right. I don't think that's a good position because people want us involved in the community. They want to have that, they want to have some ties with what's going on. And I don't blame any organization for that.
Well, when I saw your picture in the paper about a year ago with the Cumberland Theater Board, I knew I could have banked every dime I owned that I'd be having this public conversation. And here I stand about a year later. And what I am asking as a taxpayer and a voter that carries a lot of influence in this community. I always say Ed Taylor votes about 350 times because people continue to say, Ed, who do we vote for? What I'm asking, and I'm asking this firmly, I'm asking that vote be reversed and that additional money, now the money you already voted on as a body, okay, but the additional money, the $7,000 plus, needs to be stopped. That's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Mr. Wu.
Gentlemen, would you like to have an additional vote tonight? And I'd be happy to abstain.
We can, but I thought that motion was also for Frostburg Main Street Development Authority too, was rolled into that.
I believe you're correct.
Was it or was it not?
It was.
That was two entities.
And again, the money that we're talking about is the proposed spending plan for the FY18 budget. The money has not been appropriated yet. Commissioners, you took formal public comment tonight on the county's budget. We're not set to adopt it until June the 1st, but if you would like to modify your position or a specific vote relative to one item on the upcoming county budget, just to clear the air, we can entertain a motion here tonight. As it relates to an additional appropriation of $7,000, which was represented to us as one-time funds to help with a capital improvement project to serve as matching funds for other grant dollars that they would be receiving.
Right, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I have to think back here, they was asking for 15 for match money. Frostburg was asking for 15 for match money. We didn't have, we actually, to help both cities out equally, split that in half, and each one of them got it.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think the theater was asking for 25. Frostburg was asking for 15.
But that included the original
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion that we.
We continue
for
on with the
75 for each,
7,000 for each.
or 7,000 for each,
Okay.
I'll second that.
because it was, so well, there was a motion and a second.
And I will abstain, and
Okay.
I will seek an ethics opinion on this, and I think I should seek an ethics opinion on any matter relating to the city of Cumberland, since I am a resident of Cumberland. So when we're talking about EMS, fire stuff, just making sure that that's all clear.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, we got a motion on the floor. so
Right.
maybe you wanna have-
Well, I abstained. I thought
I know,
it was
but
2-1.
you still,
It's
we
okay.
already did a call for the vote.
So moved.
No
Aye.
opinion.
Aye.
I abstain.
Anyone
Let
that makes
me
the
ask
motion
just-
that can't
well,
vote
Let me
against
ask a
it.
question here. You're serving on the Cumberland, the Summer Theater. Are you there by virtue of being a county commissioner? Is that a commissioner appointment? You're there as a private?
I'm no way employed by the
I
Cumberland
understand.
Theater.
I understand.
You know, it's
I understand.
something that they need
understand.
people to serve on it. Anyway.
Okay, well, in all fairness, it clears it up. I always abstain from anything to do with LaVale Sanitary Commission.
Well, you did that tonight.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, and I do agree with Mr. Taylor's comments on fracking, but I'm not getting back into that because I was ready to blow apart that night. It takes me weeks to get settled back down, so,
Don't get started, Chris.
yeah, I'm not.
All right, Mr. Wilmot.
I'm Mr. Kenneth Wilmot. I live at 513 Ford Avenue. I'm back to speak on the budget. I am 100% against giving any money to the animal shelter for the simple reason they are not enforcing the code as it's written today. Now, I have newspaper here that says April 12, no increase for county libraries, and then commissioners also not likely to up funding for school board and animal shelter. Not true. It was already approved before the budget came out. You signed another 5-year agreement with the animal shelter, guaranteeing them $750,000 a year. How can you do that? The shelter, I'll read it. It says the shelter recently entered into a 5-year contract with the county to receive $375,000 annually until 1922. The agreement includes a $15,000 increase to offset construction costs for a new veterinary clinic. This gets worse. The clinic was made possible through a $500,000 state grant. However, county officials said the state funding came on the heels of $15,000 increase and multiple letters to state officials. One thing for sure, they didn't tell them any of the incidents that the shelter's been involved in. That when people go to them, they tell you on cats are free roaming and people can have as many as they want. That's wrong. Now then, let's get down here to the meat. Up here on page 3A, same date, headlines, animal shelter late on audit. What audit? They haven't produced any in 6 years. They've gone through $6 million of our taxpayers' money. I own 11 pieces of property, and I pay taxes, and the city's going to increase another 10% on me. I don't think these people out there should get another penny until they produce an audit to where our money is going to. Nor should they be allowed to erect a clinic that's going to put other businesses out of work. Veterinarians, it's just simply out of hand, the whole affair out there. Officials said the shelter has not produced a tax audit to the county. Now then, right up here, let's see what it says. Mr. Valentine. Now, here's what Mr. Valentine, since we turned over so much money to Allegany Animal Shelter Foundation, we require an audit. Have we got that audit yet?
We have received the first year audit from them. The audit for the fiscal 16 budget has not been produced yet.
Well, they don't get no money till they produce an audit, right? That's what it says.
I didn't say they don't get it if they don't produce an audit. They owe us an audit. They are contractors. They have a contract with the county.
Yeah, I know they got a contractor. Contractor's told in the newspaper, he's going to donate half the money needed for that building out there. So how much is this building going to cost with our budget like it is? We're the poorest county in Maryland, in the whole United States. And we're going to put in a multi-million-dollar clinic out there for people to play with cats and dogs. And we got, it don't make sense. I don't like my money being spent on items like that. We got other projects that need that money worse than people out there. They should never even be allowed to run that place because they're not enforcing the law. According to what they're saying, they're claiming a 95% adoption rate. Well, if they got a 95% adoption rate, they should be bringing in about $64,000 a year on adoption fees, which they are not. In fact, they haven't collected a one because I've asked repeatedly at these advisory board meetings, how many $40 adoption fees have you charged? To this minute, I haven't received no information. It's the same, you go to the advisory board, they say, oh, we transferred 200 and some dogs. I said, well, where did you transfer them to? Oh, down all over the East Coast. I said, well, where? The president of the advisory board, she told me, none of your business. And that's the same thing here. With the animal shelter, everything's top secret. And we're wasting money right and left over a bunch of, I mean, it don't make sense. I'm 81 years old. I got more miles behind me than I got up in front of me. But I still like to know where my tax dollar goes. And I think that audit should be published. They should be made to publish an audit for every year that they've been there. Since 2010, they took over that place. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmot. All right, our next public business meeting is Thursday, June 1st at 5 p.m. Thank you. Have a good evening.